Welcome to the Politicrat. I'm Omar Moore. It is Sunday, December the 6th, 2020. On this edition of the Politicrat, the empire strikes back, and it certainly will strike back. When it does, where will you be? And what will you do? The Republicans are going to try this again. And they are going to try this coup again, this coup attempt. What is our response? But even more than that, a look at cults, a look at Trump and how dangerous these cults are, and also some of the things from Speaker Pelosi that we hope she does not ever say again, particularly if she wants Democratic control of the House. Plus, wow, a big debate coming up between Reverend Warnock and Senator Kelly Loeffler. And, oh dearie me, do you remember Martha McSally, the former senator, soon-to-be former senator? A trip down humiliation lane. All of that and more coming up next. Oh, they will try again. Believe you me. They will try again. And, you know, that's one of the things that you're not being entertained to. You're not being told in the media, corporate news media, that the Republican Party is going to try this again. What you see going on right now, this coup attempt, that is not going to succeed to become a coup. It is not going to succeed. And it's not just because there is no evidence. It's not going to succeed because it's obvious and clear. Obvious and clear that Donald Trump lost, obvious and clear that Joe Biden won, obvious and clear that this election was conducted in the utmost professional and careful way. Now, I have talked about voter suppression and whether an actual election runs smoothly in terms of counting the ballots and administering the ballots in the ways that state laws prescribe is very different from the question of voter suppression. Those two things are not the same thing at all. And as I have postulated before here many times, just because the elections were perfect, there was no fraud, that doesn't mean that the Republican Party did not engage in voter suppression. Quite the opposite, quite the contrary. And, you know, they engaged in blatant voter suppression before, during, and after the election. I mean, that's a fact. Donald Trump did it. The Republicans did it. Donald Trump particularly did it when he was telling people in North Carolina to vote twice. To vote twice. That is a form of voter fraud. But there was also if you think back, there was also the idea of, well, you know, these people shouldn't be allowed to vote. They don't have citizenship. Remember all that stuff he did in 2016? Yeah, there was 3 million illegal voters in California. And everybody knows there's no such thing. And everybody also knows that you go to jail. And why would someone without citizenship try to vote? I mean, I know there's one case of it in Texas. I know, one case. So, again, no evidence, no proof. This is what Donald Trump's done all his life. This is what he did with Obama. Oh, yes, I'm going to send my team of investigators down to Hawaii. And, of course, he didn't have a team of investigators. He didn't. Oh, can you help me out with my fight the election scam and the steal? And can you help me? I've raised over $207 million. Can you help me? I'm broke. Can you help me out? I've got $207 million of your hard-earned money in my back pocket, but I'm still broke. I'm broke. Can you help me so I can steal some more from you? Because the reality is, I'm not running in 2024. I'm just trying to have enough money so I can fight all these lawsuits and have legal counsel available for the criminal proceedings that I'm going to be involved in and my family's going to be involved in. Oh, my re-election bid? I'm not going to run in 2024. I'm going to have a change of mind. Heck, I might be behind bars by 2024. Re-election? I've forgotten. What does that mean? What? Re-who? I mean, I got my butt kicked by Joe Biden. Why would I ever want to risk being a two-time loser? A two-time loser is being, whoa, that's worse than being a one-time loser. Don't you think? I mean, I think it is. I laugh, but it's not funny because this is the ploy and con game that he is pulling on his authoritarian followers. Now, that's what he's doing, and they don't care because, as Ruth Ben-Ghiat tells us, they believe in him. So it doesn't matter whether someone's, whether he's telling the truth or not. He is their truth. So if they believe in him, then it doesn't matter what he says. And it doesn't matter whether what he says is a lie or not. That is not the threshold for them. The threshold for them is it Donald Trump saying these things? And once it is Donald Trump saying these things, it doesn't matter. Truth, lies don't matter. He matters. And that is what they think. That is how authoritarian followers are. That is how Jim Jones cult members are. It doesn't matter what the world says. It doesn't matter what the facts are. It doesn't matter what the history is. It doesn't matter what the truth is. What matters is that this person is their truth. And that is what the corporate news media doesn't, deliberately chooses not to understand. They just keep asking, well, why are you still following him? And they just never, and conveniently so, never explain, never choose to explain what cults are, how they are derived. Now, I think HBO actually, if you are an HBO Max subscriber, as I am, then you will have probably heard of the Heaven's Gate, not the movie, not that movie from years ago back in the 1980s, but Heaven's Gate, a documentary that's just come out about a cult. I believe they're based, I don't know if they're in here in California. A lot of these cults do come from out of here. Or maybe Texas, to the Waco and David Koresh. Remember what happened to them and to him in the Clinton years. But this, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to watch it. Because if you watch that documentary, I bet you will completely understand what is going on here. And by the way, again, as I pointed out yesterday in the conversation with Ruth, with her new book, Strongman Mussolini to the Present, it's a must read. You've got to read that book. You really do. Make sure you get your hands on that book. It's available in bookstores everywhere. Support your independent bookstores. You can order it online, of course. You just have to read that book. if you want to have an understanding of what is going on with the people in the White House, with the Republican Party, with Donald Trump, and with the people who support him, you have to read Ruth Ben-Ghiat's Strongmen, Mussolini to the Present. It is such an important book, and it's a very good book. I highly recommend it. And as I said to her yesterday, she lays out all of these things. She lays them out just very clearly, detailed. It's really it's a really great bit of writing too. I didn't tell Ruth that, but it's true. I hope I'm not overselling anything here. I'm being genuine and sincere. It's a very good book. And I really do think that there's lots of books on Trump. And this is the first book, as she pointed out, that does put Donald Trump in historical perspective. And she wrote that this year. It was released literally just a few days after the election. It was literally released. In fact, it was actually released roughly exactly a week, I think, after the election on November 10th. And just 3 days after the news organizations here in the United States declared Joe Biden the president-elect. So that's one thing. And in a few moments, I'm going to play you a couple of clips from this ridiculous and very dangerous rally that Donald Trump had last night in Georgia. He's down there supposedly stumping for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. But the reality is that he was there to screw more of his rubes out of money, out of their own money. I mean, I liken it to the really famous quote that LBJ had back in 1960 when he was I believe, vice presidential candidate at that point. And it was a profound quote that still applies, and it applies when you understand what the cult is all about and when you understand the racism of the cult, because those things are not in any kind of vacuum. Those things absolutely connect. So does misogyny. I mean, that's all in there as well. I mean, there is no question. I don't see how anybody could hope to pretend those two things aren't connected. So Lyndon Johnson was, in 1960, I believe, on a plane or a bus or whatever it was, train, whatever. And he was talking to Bill Moyers, the legendary Bill Moyers. I don't know if he's still around. I don't know if he's still around. He may have passed. He may still be here. I don't know. But the point is, they had a conversation in 1960, and LBJ said to Bill Moyers, quote, "If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you." Now, that was a quote from LBJ, and it's still a timeless quote in many respects, and it does explain some of what this is. It's clearly racist and driven by this kind of desire amongst a segment of the white population to just completely forego their own priorities in order to make sure that those black people over there don't get anything at all. It's this act of self-sabotage and, for lack of a better word, suicide. I know that word is not the vogue word to use. Self-harming is probably better as a term. This is the kind of thing they sign up for, and that's what cults do. Cults are inherently self-harming. And although they are toxic to the rest, as to the rest of the world, they are extremely self-harming in many ways, mentally, emotionally, physically. And really what their premise to me is, and I haven't studied cults in any extensive way, certainly not studied them in the way that Ruth Ben-Ghiat has, aka authoritarian followers. I've not studied it as extensively as she or a few others out there, but I can say that these individuals who are part of a cult, they are bent on self-destruction as much as they are anything else. I mean, why would you go to a rally with no mask and with people packed outdoors into this space, confined space, even if it's an open air space and it's, 10,000 people? Why would you do that amongst they're clearly not people you all know. You don't know all 10,000 of them. You don't know but maybe 3 of them or 4, if that. And you're going out there for 2 hours, standing huddled in an outdoor area, no mask, and you're shouting and cheering and screaming. I mean, that's virus. I mean, that's absolutely a virus waiting to be spread. So there's this self-harm that goes on in these cults. And you saw that tonight, rather last night, if you watched this thing. And I didn't even watch all that. I watched maybe about half an hour. And the thing was, it turned out nearly 2 hours long. The reason I'm talking about this is because, A, it's incredibly dangerous, and I think people should know that. I think you do already, my goodness me. But the thing is that I can guarantee you there are people in the Republican Party who are watching these rallies as well and studying them. Because the next Republican that runs for president, and it's not going to be Donald Trump, he is not going to run in 2024. This is a ruse for the rubes. He's not going to run again. The humiliation is too great as it is for him. This is all a cash and carry scam, heist, out the door. That's what this is. He's spending his last 6 weeks in office, 45 days now. He's spending that time grifting from you if you are one of his followers. He's absolutely doing that. But I know people who follow him do not care, because it doesn't matter that they are taking money from their 401k or their pension or from some piggy bank somewhere. It doesn't matter if they're breaking open their piggy banks to give him money, because it's him. They don't care. They don't care. This so-called billionaire asking you for more money. Oh, I'm so rich. Oh, I'm really famous. I'm rich. And yet he's asking you for money. So why is he asking you for money? If he's rich and if he's this billionaire, why is he asking you for money? This guy commits crimes all over the place, in front of you, behind you. The media shines a light on them and amplifies them. This shows you how this guy does not give a rat's you-know-what about this Senate race, these 2 very important Georgia Senate races, which I think people have to watch closely because, first of all, I think there's voter suppression going on right now in Georgia. There have been some reports about it. But that should not deter you from voting. Remember to vote Ossoff and Warnock. I'm going to talk about them in a few short minutes. But there is a debate tonight. It's between Warnock and Loeffler. Loeffler appeared on the stage last night. She got to speak for literally, and this is interesting. Both of this is really interesting stuff. Kelly Loeffler spoke, and this is what I want to lead into. Kelly Loeffler spoke for 71 seconds. 7-1. That's 1 minute and 11 seconds. I'll tell you why that is significant in a moment. First of all, that's not very much time, obviously. If you're on a stage in your home state and Donald Trump has come with this, I'm going to stump for you down there, and you are one of the candidates that he is supposedly stumping for, and you only get out of an hour and 52 minutes of a rally, You only get to speak for 71 seconds? By the very definition, 71 seconds out of an hour and 52 minutes. Clearly, Donald Trump did not come down to the state of Georgia to stump for you. He came down to the state of Georgia to stump for himself and to raise money. Not raise money, let me correct that, steal money from the rubes that were there in attendance at the authoritarian cult follower Nuremberg rally. And if you think that 71 seconds was a little bit of time, you should hear this. Here is what 26 seconds sounds like. David Perdue. And listen to the crowd. Listen to the crowd as he starts to speak. In fact, just listen to this crowd and listen to what David Perdue says and actually does. Listen to this.
Hey guys, I want to take liberty just 1 second. I want to say something personal to President Trump. Hey guys, I want to say something for President Trump personally. Guys, I want to say something personal for President Trump. God bless you. We love you, Mr. President. We love the First Lady. And we're going to fight and win those 2 seats and make sure you get a fair, square deal in the state of Georgia. God bless you, Mr. President.
How embarrassing is that? How embarrassing is that? 26 seconds for David Perdue? Did you hear the crowd, the cultists? Did you hear them? Screaming the name of the Fuhrer, screaming his name. Fight for Trump. I mean, did you hear that? I'm sure you had to have heard it. It was literally drowning out David Perdue. I mean, that's why you know David Perdue is a goner. This guy is toast. Look, I mean, it's not, I should be careful with that because there's going to be lots of dark money, even though both of these people are well heeled. And both of these people, by the way, had Senate investigations or other investigations launched against them on insider trading. And they dropped the investigations. How convenient. I mean, come on. Both of these people traded on information and did so during a pandemic and about, based on briefings that they got in January of this year. During an impeachment trial, a sham trial, remember that. People forget that Donald Trump was even impeached. But he was. People forget that he was impeached, but he absolutely was. It happened on December can you guess what date? Can you guess the date of his impeachment, the day that he was actually impeached? Where the vote happened, that's what I'm talking about, the impeachment vote. That's the day he was impeached. Do you remember what date that was? Here's the hint. We are coming up on that date. As a matter of fact, gosh, if I told you, it would be too easy. What date do you think it was? I mean, don't look it up. Please, we have an honor system here. Don't look up the date. Can you guess what the date was that Donald Trump was impeached? I trust that you're not going to go on social media or that you're not going to go to your search engine or to a search engine of some kind and type in date of Donald Trump impeachment. I trust that you will be honest enough to withdraw such impulses. But the point is that both Loeffler and Perdue were engaging in trading of stock. They were. And it's not that senators can't do that. Members of this House and Senate can. What they can't do is trade on non-public information, which is insider trading. Information that is not public, that is known to you, and you act on that information by trading in the markets before that information becomes publicly disclosed, if ever. And that's what both of these people, in my view, definitely did. And David Perdue's the biggest trader in all of the Senate or the House. This guy trades like no tomorrow. Thousands of deals he's done. Thousands of them. He spends more time trading in the stock market than he does working for constituents. And this guy is going to be your senator? Really? You really want to vote? But like I say, it goes back to what LBJ said. It just goes right back to it. For a strong contingent of white people, whether they're in the South, whether they're anywhere. It's not just the South. I'm fed up with people going, oh, it's the South. There were white people all over this country that voted for Donald Trump, and it was not just centered in the South. Heck, there was a Joe Biden win in the South, in 2 states in the South, one in the Southeast, one in the Southwest. So this notion that, it's just the South. Come on. That's just not true. But the fact that David Perdue even has a Senate seat is a disgrace, and he shouldn't be even there. He should be arrested and investigated. And they dropped the investigation. There's no way you should be dropping an investigation on a guy that's traded over 6,000 times in his Senate career. Not in his life, in his Senate career. That's just ridiculous. But again, as I say, it goes back to LBJ's quote that I read out to you. It goes right back to that. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. That's what the cult is. They don't care. And that's what Donald Trump is doing. These people in these cults, they're emptying their pockets for the guy. They're emptying his pocket. They're their pockets, not his. They're emptying their pockets for a guy who hates them. He has absolute contempt for them. Absolute contempt. He doesn't care about them. But again, that doesn't matter to them, because to them, all that matters is that he is there. And that's it. They believe in him. So it's irrelevant. Whatever he does is irrelevant. They will support anything he does. Anything. Molestation, violation, other violation. I mean, they will do that. They totally will do it. They totally will. People who've got coronavirus going to his rallies and they still support him. There's a woman who was on NBC News about maybe a month ago or so, 5 weeks ago. She lost her husband to this virus, and she still supports Trump. It's a cult. And the sooner the media stops reporting on these people like they actually have some merit, and starts reporting instead on Joe Biden supporters, the better. Stop shoehorning us to this nonsense and stop maximizing the minimum. Start doing the opposite. Maximize the maximum. Don't minimize it. Maximize the maximum. There's 81,300,000 people who voted for Donald. Oh my God, listen to me. I got a bit of this now. There's 81,300,000+ people who voted for Joe Biden. Start talking about those supporters. Start talking to them. I mean, that's what these people try to make. Again, I think I may have said this before here. People who try to make 74 million larger than 81 million. I mean, that's a product of an education system in America that doesn't exist. We're going to make 74 million people larger than 81 million. Only in America, said Brooks and Dunn. Only in America, said Don King. I mean, this is just out of whack. Out of whack. And you've got David Perdue, 26 seconds. 26 seconds. That might be a record. That actually might be a record. That might be the shortest speech ever by a Republican or Democratic candidate in their own state for a guy in the White House who flew down there to supposedly stump for them. And of course, as I said before, he didn't fly down there to stump for them. He flew down there for himself, for his own selfish benefits. Stop the steal. What you should be saying, your slogan should be stop the scam, as in stop the orange scam. This guy is absolutely fleecing these people. They don't care. They don't care that they're being fleeced. They're loving it. They love it. They love it. They love it. I love to be fleeced. Ooh, I love it. And there are people like that. They're masochists. They love it. They're cult members. Ooh, they love it. It gives them a perverse thrill. You know, they love that stuff. I mean, look, it kind of borders into the, it kind of borders into all these sexual things, you know? I mean, that's probably, oh my God, I'll get myself in trouble here. But no, I mean, come on. There are people who, that's a fantasy of theirs, to be debased. You know, they say this about powerful people, and it doesn't have to be powerful people. I mean, people have fantasies, and those are, as long as those fantasies do involve adults and not kids, you know, come on. Jeez, the fact that I even have to say that, you know. But there's plenty of reasons why I have to say that, because you have Jeffrey Epstein and all these disgusting people. Oh, boy. And then not to mention the everyday stuff. You know, you have to have about 8 showers a day, don't you? Don't you have to have 8 showers a day for all the filth that you wade through in any given news cycle? And I almost said nude cycle. I meant not nude cycle, news. NEWS, the kind of filth that you might have to find yourself wading through. How do you inoculate yourself? You want to talk about a vaccine? Can we have a vaccine to eliminate this filth that we are washing over this orange monstrosity? Can we hold on? Can you hold on for 45 more days, I ask, dear listener? We just have, this guy, David Perdue, begging that crowd. That crowd doesn't care about David Perdue. I mean, they were even chanting during Loeffler's 71 seconds. But you know what? Even David Perdue, I mean, it's just, he was basically telling them to be quiet. Guys, please, I want to say something personal to the Fuhrer. I want to say something personal to the Fuhrer, to the dear leader. Can you quiet down? Unbelievable. And of course, Trump wasn't telling them to stop chanting his name. No, of course not. He's there basking in it, smiling as this supplicant, you know, is standing there trying to bow down to him and kiss his feet, verbally kiss his feet. The First Lady, and I'm a big fan, and I love you, and you know, we're going to deliver these 2 Senate seats, and we're going to try to make sure you get a fair shake. Try to make sure he gets a fair shake. Oh, shut up. I mean, this is just a guy lying, A, to Trump, and B, to the base. It's incredible, the body language of Perdue. I actually did tweet out the video of this, and there's a number of videos I tweeted out, and I really shouldn't have, but I did it only because I knew that I wanted to talk about this today, you know, the day after, you know, on the day of the actual debate that's going to happen between Warnock and Loeffler. And it was interesting that Loeffler got more time. And I think the reason she got more time is because she kissed his feet more. Trump's, that is. You know, that's the reason. And David Perdue got 26 seconds. I mean, combined, they got 97 seconds. Do you really think that this rally was about the two of them? Or was it about Donald Trump? I think I can do my math. 97 seconds. Combined, the two of them, they're both running for the two biggest seats in the country right now. And to show you how much Donald Trump cares about who the Senate is controlled by, he let the two Republicans, who he supposedly stumped for in Georgia, speak for a grand total of 1 minute and 37 seconds combined out of a 1 hour and 52-minute Nuremberg rally. And by the way, Kelly Loeffler, her 71 seconds was exactly the same amount of time that Martha McSally got. And here is, in all its humiliating pain, sorry for playing this, is the moment in late October of this year, 2020, that Donald Trump absolutely humiliated yet another American war veteran.
Martha, come up just fast, quick. Fast. Fast, come on, quick. You got 1 minute. 1 minute, Martha's sake. They don't want to hear this, Martha. Come on, let's go. Quick. Come on, let's go.
All right, I'm coming. Thank you, President Trump. Arizona, we are ground zero to save the country. We have 6 days and just a few hours. President Trump and the country are counting on us to send him back to the White House for 4 more years. Everything is on the line, and my race is about the Senate majority. Everything I wore the uniform for and all you veterans did is on the line. Everything is on the line. We've got to bring it home, Arizona. In my race will decide the direction of the country the radical left can take over in the Senate. So if you want someone who's going to be Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer's 51st vote to take away our freedoms and our Second Amendment rights and all the things the president talk about, then you got a guy named Mark Kelly. But if you want a fighter, if you want to continue to have a fighter who is proud to work with President Trump for the great American comeback and strong military and secure our borders and your Second Amendment rights, then I'm your girl, Arizona. I'm your girl. Vote Trump, McSally. Let's save the country. God bless you, sir.
I have to admit that is one of the more painful things that I have seen between two Republicans. I can't. I mean, there's lots of things far, far worse. But that was painful to listen to. And it's even more painful when you actually watch it. I'm not going to provide a link to it. You can find it. It's easily found online, and you've probably seen it on TV before. But what you just heard there was absolutely humiliating. I don't line up with the politics of Martha McSally. She's no longer going to be in the Senate as of about a month from now. Probably exactly a month from now. January 6th, I think. Whatever. But that had to be one of the most humiliating pieces of audio that I've played on this podcast. Maybe not. I don't know. That was terrible. As she runs up there and you heard, thank you, President Trump. It's just, the whole thing is just, and this is what Donald Trump does. He humiliates people. This is what authoritarians do. They humiliate people. They play to the crowd. They humiliate people. They convince people in that crowd that it is okay, totally okay, to humiliate others, to hurt them, to commit violence against them. It's really evil stuff. And that was an example of it. Come up here, Martha. Doesn't even call her senator. Look, I have not called anybody, senator. I didn't call Purdue senator. I haven't called Loeffler. And they're all senators. McSally will be for another month. He didn't, Martha. Come up here, Martha. Ha! Really? You didn't call her senator? Come up here, Martha. That's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. And then she runs up there and it's just crazy. But this is what the cult does. This is the authoritarian followers. And here's the thing that's even more cult-like. And to show you how bad this is, not to show you can't see anything here. You can only hear what I'm saying. But to show you how grotesque all of this is and how humiliating this is, and it truly is humiliating. I mean, that was as bad as you might get. To show you how bad this all was, I'm going to just read you something that you might be surprised by. You might be surprised by it. It was by Carl Bernstein. Actually, he tweeted this about 2 weeks ago now. Exactly 2 weeks ago, 22nd of November, which was, if I remember correctly, a Sunday. Of course, the 22nd of November is a notable date for other reasons, far more tragic, as you understand. November 22nd of 1963, I think, rings that bell for you. But to show you how sick all of this is, to show you how really sick, I mean, really sick. I mean, this is just absolutely unbelievable. To show you how crazy this is, with McSally, Carl Bernstein tweeted out on the 22nd of November of this year, 2020, the 21 GOP senators, the Republicans, who have privately expressed their disdain for Trump are, and he lists all 21 of them. Would you like me to read you a bedtime story? Would you like to know those 21 names of Republican senators who have contempt for Donald Trump? Wouldn't you like to know who these 21 senators who have privately expressed their disdain for Donald Trump are? Now, I could run a quick commercial break here, a quick break rather. Not a commercial break, but a break. I could run a break here, but I won't keep you in any suspense. Carl Bernstein on Twitter. These are the 21 Republican senators who privately have expressed their disdain for Donald Trump. Rob Portman of Ohio. Lamar Alexander. Now, isn't that interesting? This is the guy that gave his speech the other day on the Senate floor. Lawrence O'Donnell put his nose right out of joint, believe me. So Lamar Alexander, who couldn't muster in any part of him at all a guilty vote back in February, couldn't muster it. Do you know that today, by the way, or yesterday now, was the... it's just crazy. People have completely forgotten. Do you know that yesterday was the 10-month mark, exactly 10 months ago, that the Senate acquitted Donald Trump of crimes? And yet, Lamar Alexander, who has expressed disdain, according to Carl Bernstein, and who would argue with Carl Bernstein? I mean, he only wrote All the President's Men, the book with his partner in crime, Bob Woodward. They only broke the lid off the Watergate break-in. No reason to trust those guys. There only won Pulitzer Prizes, but you know. I mean, not that the Pulitzer Prize is this grand, standard of integrity, but the point is that the Pulitzer Prize is nothing to sneeze at. But, this is Carl Bernstein tweeting on the 22nd of last month. Portman Alexander, who couldn't vote yes to convict. Ben Sass, no surprise there. He couldn't. None of these people voted to convict, except one of them, whose name I'm going to read out. You know exactly who it is. I've already given that away for you. Roy Blunt, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski. Those two names aren't surprising. Well, maybe Collins is. Murkowski is not. John Cornyn. Ooh, John Cornyn. John Cornyn, who has been making quote-unquote jokes, because there is nothing to joke about when it comes to domestic violence. But John Cornyn was joking. He was absolutely joking. So-called jokes. How do you joke about domestic violence? How is any part of that a joking matter, let alone a laughing one? Oh, well, women who leave their husbands, that doesn't usually work out well. And he's got the nerve to go after Neera Tanden. I've talked about this before, you know that. And it doesn't matter whether I agree with Neera Tanden or not in this instance. It's just the hypocrisy of these Republicans that is disgusting. And he's a coward. Of course, all of them who didn't vote to convict back 10 months and 1 day ago. John Thune, he did not, he didn't convict, but he expressed disdain privately. Ooh, well, give him a Junior G-Man badge. He expressed disdain for Donald Trump. Should we give him a ribbon? A ribbon, a gold medal, or what would you like to provide him? A doggy bag? A sack of coal for Christmas? I mean, a lump of coal? What should his gift be? Oh dear, God. Of course, Mitt Romney's on this list. He did the right thing by voting to convict on abuse of power. Braun, Senator Braun, oh Lord, Young, don't even know who Young is, by the way. He might be the only senator in the whole entire bunch of the 100 that I don't even know of. Young, who is Young? Anyway, that's a whole nother story. None of us is young. That's my conclusion. Tim Scott, look at my African American over here. He expressed disdain for him too. But he went and voted to acquit him. Disdain. The other Scott, Rick, the guy that committed Medicare fraud in the state of Florida. Guy shouldn't even be a governor. He was a governor, believe it or not, for 2 terms, I think it was, and now a senator. I think this is the 2nd year of the Senate for him, or the 3rd. He shouldn't be anywhere near the Senate. And the scam that he pulled, the Medicare fraud that he pulled, go read about that in Florida. It's an absolute terror, a horror, I tell you. Absolutely ridiculous. Grotesque. Oh, but he privately expressed disdain for Donald Trump. Oh, no, you want the other names? I'll give you the other names. Rubio. Oh, my gosh. Little Marco, as he's called. Affectionately known by Don. Oh, he expressed disdain privately. It's embarrassing. Chuck Grassley. Oh, my goodness. And by the way, he has coronavirus. So I'm not going to say anything about him. I wish him a speedy recovery. But even Chuck Grassley, who's 86 or 87 years old now? I hope he does get better. I am concerned about him. I am. I don't wish these folks ill when it comes to their health. I wish they'd leave public life and leave the rest of us the hell alone. But I don't wish anything bad for them health-wise. I hope they're all... Kelly Loeffler has tested positive recently for coronavirus. Now she's back on the stump. I don't wish these people anything or their families any ill will in terms of anything physical or their health. No. I just don't want them in the Senate. I just don't want them in the House. I just don't want them in power. That's what I wanted. I don't want him in power. I can't do anything about that, Georgia. You can. And I hope that you do. Because literally tomorrow, Monday, is the last day you can register to vote for these two important, critical elections. You have to get involved, folks. So tomorrow is the last day, the 7th, Monday, the last day to register. And then let me just finish reading these names out. Carl Bernstein also added that Burr, who of course had to quit his chairman post of the Senate whatever committee, not intelligence, right? I forget which committee, finance or whatever the heck it was, because he was investigated too for insider trading. And he was forced to resign his position. He's still in the Senate. I think he's still in the committee. But I don't think he's the chair anymore. Maybe he's not on the committee either. Pat Toomey, this is the guy who last week said, oh, yes, Trump, you really should just quit your hollering and whining and stop challenging Joe Biden in Pennsylvania. Pat Toomey, who's leaving the Senate, by the way. He's leaving voluntarily. So he's retiring. McSally. McSally. Martha, come on up here. She privately expresses disdain for Donald Trump. Was that before or after he humiliated her? That's my question. And then Moran and Roberts and Shelby. Pat Roberts, he's quitting the Senate. Richard Shelby, I think he is as well. At the end of this term, maybe not, I don't know. There's at least 7 Republicans who are leaving. I think Mike Enzi is one of them. Lamar Alexander, I told you about Toomey. Et cetera. I think Chuck Grassley is too. Once he's done, I don't think his term's over yet, but he may have to resign soon. God forbid if he gets, anyway, I don't even want to go there. But anyway, you get the idea. So this is what's going on here. This is what's going on. So you've got Martha McSally, who privately disdains Trump, but publicly was willing to be humiliated just to say something for 71 seconds. Wow, that's a sad state of affairs. I don't know if it was. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe it wasn't that she was willing to be humiliated. Although some people like that, I'm not saying, there are people in the world who, again, get off on stuff like that. That's the whole, anyway, I don't want to go there. That's not the point. And those are fantasies and all that. I get it. It's all perfectly normal in terms of, the things that consenting adults do. As long as people do not get harmed or hurt or injured, again, that's the province of 2 people. That's completely their business. As long as they're not doing it with a minor or anything grotesque or criminal or disgusting like that, people are going to be free to do whatever things float their boats or their battleships or their hunts for Red October. Oh my God, I just thought of how that could be interpreted as a suggestive or double entendre or something, anyway. But look, man, the cult is really at work here, isn't it? Isn't it? I think there's some more things to talk about that are going to be more forward-thinking in terms of what we need to do, plus a preview, a big preview. Oh, and also the speaker. I have a really small bone to pick with the Speaker of the House. Coming up next.
What shifted, in your opinion, when the Problem Solvers Caucus had a much larger bill a few months ago? You did not like that piece of legislation. What has shifted now when they're on board with this piece that's come out of the Senate?
Perhaps you missed what I said earlier. Joe Biden committed to ending and crushing the virus and having a Build a Better America initiative, Build Back Better, a vaccine, answer to our prayers, an answer to our prayers of 95% effectiveness in terms of Pfizer and Moderna, and there may be others coming forward. That is a total game changer. A new president and a vaccine. So there's nothing to, these are different. What was then before was not more of this. Has simplicity. It's what we've had in our bills. It's for a shorter period of time, but that's okay now because we have a new president, a president who recognizes that we need to depend on science.
It's for a shorter period of time now, but that's okay because we have a new president. That's pretty much verbatim what she just said. And you just heard what she just said. The she being Speaker Nancy Pelosi. That is just disqualifying, isn't it? So millions of people are on food lines and waiting for 5, 6, 7 hours. They've lost their jobs. Their unemployment's going to run out the day after Christmas. They're not getting the proper pandemic relief pay. In fact, they're being underpaid if any of them are getting it at all. And they've been unemployed for months, and they've got kids to feed, and they're in danger of being foreclosed on and maybe being evicted, and they don't have a stimulus check since when, April or May? But that's okay now because we've got a new president and a vaccine? Really, Speaker Pelosi? Do you think that that's good messaging? Do you think that the millions of people who may hear or see that think that that is going to serve them? Do you think that a new president will put food on a table? Will a vaccine put money in people's pockets? Not the average person's pocket. It'll put money in the pockets of Pfizer and Moderna and BioNTech. But will a vaccine put money in your pocket? Will a vaccine put money in a family of 5's pocket? In a family of 6 who are living under one roof? One of them or 2 of them has coronavirus. One of them maybe is really gravely ill and doesn't have health insurance. In fact, none of them in this example I'm casting may not have any health insurance. And they've already lost one of their parents or both. How is a new president going to give them stimulus money? How is that going to happen? So you actually waited 2 months. In October, you knew you never had a deal. Trump knew you never had a deal. Trump never had a deal. Mnuchin never had a deal with Pelosi. That whole thing about the $2.2 trillion, and yes, for Nancy Pelosi's credit, to the Speaker's credit, she did come down some in an effort to try to compromise. The Democrats, man, do we compromise like it's candy and nuts for Christmas. We love to do that. And there's nothing wrong with compromising. I believe in compromising. But you've got to be strategic about how. Right? I mean, I'm talking about when it comes to politics, not in relationships or everyday life. I'm talking about politics. Because in relationships, you have to compromise too. And if you don't, you're going to have one heck of an unhappy person that you are with. Believe me. You have to compromise. You have to. But when it comes to politics, there has to be something greater. And there are articles out there, I've talked about this before, that have said that there was no deal. They were never close to a stimulus deal in October of 2020. This was a no-go. They were far apart. Pelosi and Schumer and them, the Democrats, were at $2.2 trillion, whereas Mnuchin was at 1.8 trillion. And you had Donald Trump posturing and Nancy Pelosi posturing. They were both posturing. Trump was posturing, oh, I'll sign it, because there's an election coming up for him. And Pelosi was posturing because she said, well, this bill is not good because, there's things in it. And she's right about this, by the way. There are things in it that require liability insurance for these corporations, and the Republicans want that to happen so that when there are injuries happening, the employee cannot sue the employer, and the employer wants liability insurance. It's what Mitch McConnell's been calling for the last 7 or 8 months. He hasn't been anywhere near the negotiating table. And so that's one of the reasons Speaker Pelosi said, no, I'm not going to move forward with this from our end. There was never going to be a bill. That's the truth. Because the sides were far apart, although 400,000, my math is $400 million apart. You would think that, well, that sounds like a lot of money. When you're talking about $1.8 trillion versus $2.2 trillion, $400 million ain't a lot of money. But it's not that it's the money, as Speaker Pelosi, again, I agree with her on, said. It is not the money. It is the content of what's going on in the bill. And the liability insurance was one of the issues for her. So that was not going to happen. So all of this was really posturing. And I told you that this bill was going to get done after the election, but before Biden got sworn in. Now, that it's not done yet, but now you've got these bipartisan senators who have come in and have fashioned a $908 billion bill. So that response that you heard from Pelosi was in response to a question about, well, what's different from October to now? That's what that response was. And then she says that thing about, well, yeah, we have a... So this was just crazy. And to say that, well, we have a new president coming in and we have a vaccine, those are they are game changers for that aspect of things, for the country and, yes, for people with coronavirus and people without it. But to suggest that that somehow cushions the blow, that you have a stimulus bill for a, quote, shorter period of time and less money, no stimulus checks, come on. What are you saying to the country? And I'm telling you, I said this before, this is why the Democrats lost. Because people in the end of the day do not care. And I said this before on a previous episode. They do not care about the ins and outs, the intricacies of the deal or the non-deal, and who said this, how much money did they offer, and who compromised that. They don't care. They're too busy trying to stay out of evictions. They're too busy working 3.5 jobs or not working any. They're too busy trying not to get coronavirus. They're too busy trying to think of a way of not letting their kids starve and thinking, well, gosh, I'm going to have to starve for how many days so that my kids get something? I mean, come on, Speaker Pelosi. It is really a tone-deaf enterprise, to be really frank. To be saying to people, as someone who is well-heeled as she is, and gosh, that refrigerator, didn't that tell the tale? Isn't that on James Corden show or Stephen Colbert show? One of the two of them. And she had a lovely fridge. Not that she can't have a lovely fridge. That's not the point here. It just shows you how how out of touch you are. And some of the politicians here in my state have not covered themselves in glory, especially here in San Francisco. Mayor Breed violating regulations to go to that fancy dancy restaurant, the French Laundry. I told you about that before. And you've got Pelosi going to a hair salon in August or September when San Francisco had shut those down. I mean, oh, well, I was set. And then she says she was set up. I mean, come on, nobody believes that. That's your long-term stomping grounds. She's been there for a dozen years at least, if not more. Oh, and there's video footage of her with her hair wet It's just, come on. You got Gavin Newsom, the California governor. He goes to the French Laundry. You've got a mayor in San Jose who does the same, goes out and gathers with 5 different families at some place. It wasn't the French Laundry. Come on, it's not just Democrats doing this. But the point is that people in power think that the rules do not apply to them. That's what and that regardless of any party. So this is just madness. It shows you, the ice cream and, Nancy Pelosi is a stone's throw from where I am, by the way. Speaker Pelosi, I could walk to her place from where I am. I honestly could. I know where she lives. That's not meant as anything threatening. That's just me saying as an observational point. I know where she is. I know, where she lives. And I could walk there. I literally could, But it just shows the disconnect. And when you tell people, I don't care how many ice cream how many Klondikes you have, how many Nestle bars, and what's the favorite? What ice cream is it? Breyers? What are those ice cream basket? I don't even eat ice cream. Baskin Robbins, Breyers, and Edie's, and all these ice creams that I see. I don't care which one you have. Go. I mean, especially now with all this stress eating that we're all doing, knock yourself out. You can have 1 million of them in your fridge, Speaker Pelosi. But one thing that I don't think you should do is to tell millions of people at your weekly press conference, which was held Friday, December the 3rd of this year, 2020, just a couple of days ago, that, yes, it's going to be a bill that's still the same as what we have, but it's going to be shorter, for a shorter period of time, and less money. Mitch McConnell offered a $500 billion bill. He got laughed out of the Senate building. Laughed out of the building. And only $400 million later, this bipartisan committee of senators, they're putting together a bill. And I get what Speaker Pelosi is saying. I think some of what I'm saying is not perhaps entirely contextualized correctly, because the new Senate's going to negotiate another bill. They're going to. When the new Senate's sworn in, whether it's in Democratic control or not, there is going to be another stimulus round. There has to be. If you're not going to stimulate the economy, then you're not going to have stimulus checks. Because what do people do when they get stimulus checks? The average person, they spend them. Whether it's on bills, whether it's on food, they put money back. Whether it's putting it back into whatever. But that's how an economy gets stimulated. Not by giving Wall Streeters first dibs at vaccines. I'm sorry, that does not stimulate anything. We're essential workers. We need to get the vaccine. Like the PPP folks, we found the loophole for you to jump through. So, hey, billionaire business, Shake Shack, LA Lakers, you guys are small businesses. Come on down for your $10 million, for your $5 million. You're entirely welcome. Not funny.
Accept half of a loaf months ago when you said, I'm not going to accept half a loaf.
Look, I'm going to tell you something. Don't characterize what we did before as a mistake, as a preface to your question, if you want an answer. That was not a mistake. It was a decision, and it has taken us to a place where we can do the right thing without other, shall we say, considerations in the legislation that we don't want. Now, that is it. Now, the fact is, I'm very proud of where we are. My chairs have worked very hard on all of this. They were not even happy with a proposal that we made the other day before we saw this proposal. They thought we had come back too small. So it's not about an individual. It's about how we address the needs of the American people. And we have to do it in a scientific way, and we have to do it in a way that recognizes people need food on the table. They need to get their rent paid. They need money in their pockets. They need their unemployment insurance to be there. They do not need a whole cacophony of other things that are on the agenda that have nothing to do with meeting their needs. So we're very pleased at where it is. And as I say, with a Democratic president committed to a scientific solution for this, with the idea that we will have a vaccine, it's a complete game changer from them.
That was Speaker Pelosi being very, she was not happy at that question that you just heard. She was not happy. And you heard it loud and clear right there. But I just think she's wrong on this. You know, the reporter asked a fair question. Yeah, maybe he phrased it in a way that, you know, but she definitely did not, she was not happy, put it that way. I'm not going to characterize her tone because that's sexist, and that's not what I was going to do anyway. But I'm just saying she was not happy. And I just think that she got caught out here. And I agreed with her on how she handled Wolf Blitzer back in September or October of this year. I thought that was the right thing to do. Wolf Blitzer did not know what the heck he was on about. He didn't know what he was talking about. So I was with her on that. I didn't vote for the speaker, by the way. I did not vote for her this time. I didn't. That I can tell you, full disclosure, I did not vote for her. I didn't. Didn't vote for her the previous time either. Scandalous, isn't it? But you know why I didn't? Because of these kinds of things. I think the House needs new leadership, don't you? Not Republican leadership. I mean new leadership as in the Democrats need to go differently here. We need a new Speaker of the House. We need a new majority leader in the House. I guess is that what Steny Hoyer is, majority leader, and then the majority whip Clyburn. Yeah, as much as I don't like what he said about blaming black folk and progressives, he's black, blaming black folk and progressives, for they could be black progressives who are black. Obviously, I'm one. I just don't subscribe to a lot of the stuff that some of these other progressives do, because when it comes to race and racism, these white progressives are nowhere to be found. I mean, some of them are, but most of them are not. Bernie Sanders, they only give lip service to it, but they're not real. They're not real. Elizabeth Warren, who is a quasi-progressive in my view, she gave a lot more sincerity. I talked about this before. Senator Warren gave much more sincerity to issues of racism and race and dealing with that on a real world level than Bernie Sanders ever has. Ever has. And I can go on that all day long, but I won't, because then that wouldn't be. But anyway, the point I'm making here, dear listener, is fairly elementary, I hope. I mean, I don't know. But it depends on my rambling, whether it's elementary or not. But the point I think I'm trying to make is that this is not a good look for the House. The House needs leadership, the House Democrats. I don't think that, as I said, I think Speaker Pelosi's finest hour in the last year or so has been, I'll give you the date of the impeachment, has been December the 19th, 2019. Oh, no. I think I got that date wrong, didn't I? Red herring. December the 18th. That was when Donald Trump was impeached. December the 18th. I can remember the day even. It was Wednesday, December the 18th, 2019. Literally 1 week before Christmas. The Grinch got grinched. He got impeached. And it's funny, some people do say this. It's as if he was never impeached. I've seen that on Twitter. Because there have been so many things that have flooded the zone, as it were. that people somehow forget that this guy got impeached, but he did. He is a disgrace. Impeached in his first 3 years in office. That's disgraceful. Clinton got impeached his second term in office. Nixon was going to face impeachment in his second term in office. He resigned. Andrew Johnson, I don't remember when he got impeached, to be quite frank. Those are the only people who've been impeached. Three of them have been impeached. None of them has been convicted. And the fourth person, Tricky Dick, ended up walking out of there on August the 9th, 1974. But this is not a good look for the House Democrats. Then the House Democratic leadership needs to be changed. It does. I think the only way that the Democrats hold on to power in the House in 2022 is if there is a change in the leadership in that House. The House Democrats have not done well in their leadership. Now look, I am never going to ignore all the legislation that they've passed. It would be absolutely blasphemous of me to not point at all of this fantastic legislation that is now rotting away on the Grim Reaper's desk. And it will continue to if you do not vote, dear Georgia, for Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff. You have to vote for these two gentlemen, please. Please, this is really important. But I really do worry about the House Democrats. They've lost all these seats. They're in denial. They're not going to do any self-excavation. They're not going to do that. They're not. It's not even that they're in denial. It's an arrogance about power. And James Carville, please don't tell me about the urban centers not being a factor in this election.
For you, James, it's Claire. I just love you.
I love you too. Your analysis, if you look at the press corps went AOC crazy. In the Iowa caucuses of liberal, it's too whatever. To combine the left side of the party, I consider myself a liberal, by the way. I'm not a moderate. But they look, Senator Klobuchar and, Buttigieg got a lot of votes. And we got to decide what we want to be. Do we want to be an ideological cult, or do we want to have a majoritarian instinct to be a majority party? I know where you stand on that, Senator, because you had to run in a red state.
Right.
So, and again, you and I know that 18% of the country elects 52 senators. And the urban core is not going to get it done. What we need is power. You understand? That's what this is about. Without power, you have nothing. You just have talking points.
Oh, wow, the urban centers, it's about power. It's simple. Oh, be quiet. Who determined this election? If it wasn't about urban centers, James Carville, then who determined the election? Why was it that all of the things that put Joe Biden, all the people who put Joe Biden over the top, were black or brown? It was black folk in Pennsylvania, specifically in Philadelphia City and surrounding areas. It was black folk in Detroit, in Michigan. It was black folk in Atlanta that got him Georgia. So James Carville, what are you talking about, dude? I mean, it was brown folk in Arizona. It was brown folk in Nevada who got Joe Biden those two states. Oh, it is the urban areas. Oh, that's not going to... What is he talking about? And this is the kind of crap that's going to sink the Democrats. And it's progressives and black folk and brown folk and native folk. And by the way, Asian Americans played a significant role too. They all played a role in getting Donald Trump, booted out, getting him booted out of office and having Joe Biden in there. And Joe Biden had better recognize I've not seen any. Have you seen any Asians in any prominent positions yet? I mean, I hope that Tammy Duckworth is a start. I hope they at least put her in. If she's not going to be defense, because I don't think she's going to be picked as defense. I think she's going to end up being in the Veterans Administration. And I think that would be a really good fit for her. And then maybe she'll get promoted if there is a second term of Biden or a first of Harris, depending on how that goes. Then I can see her being promoted to defense secretary after 4 years in the VA. But where are all the Asian hires? Have you seen them? Man, that's like looking for weapons of mass destruction, isn't it? Remember that crude video that Bush did? W, the war criminal, W for war criminal. Remember that at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, he submitted this slide, this video of him, slides of him looking under a table. Oh, where are the weapons of mass destruction? And he's looking under tables and chairs. His dog, Buddy, or whatever his dog's name is, and his dog is running around. Barney is his name, and his dog, his dog's running around, and he's looking under tables. You actually see slides of him looking under chairs for weapons of mass destruction. Never mind 1 million Iraqis are dead. Never mind that. Never mind that 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, maybe more servicemen, women, people had been murdered, killed, sent them off to die. And but we're not going to hold them accountable. Obama's not going to hold them accountable. Merry Christmas, war criminal. Good Lord. Is this what we've come to? I mean, history repeats itself, dear listener. Joe Biden's about to do the same thing. Donald Trump is absolutely toxic to this country. Coup attempts after coup attempt after coup attempt, live on your TVs, and, I'm not going to do anything. It's all up to the Justice Department or what they're going to do. Well, no, it's all up to who you pick for the Justice Department. And speaking of appointments, I would put Keith Ellison in there. If you want to send a tone, and set a tone, rather, not a ringtone, but a tone. If you want to set a tone, then put Keith Ellison in that position. I'm sure someone can take over the Minnesota State Attorney General job and be able at it. But I'm telling you right now, folks, if he puts in some lightweight person for AG, you can kiss any hope of prosecution or investigation of the Trump crime family goodbye. So we need new leadership in the Democratic House, because after this piss-poor performance in November, which they want to blame on defund the police, I talked about that before earlier last week. 3 words defeated these Democrats. I mean, they lost to 3 words. That's what beat the Democrats. This is just ridiculous, isn't it? Is your intelligence insulted enough today? The Democrats lost to 3 words. Oh yeah, sure. Not the fact that the public looked at them and saw a speaker who was forced by the public to impeach this guy. I mean, Pelosi nor Schiff, who presented the case, neither of them wanted impeachment. That was well known for months. I remember an event here in town where Speaker Pelosi was on the stage, and DeRay, who you know on Twitter, was interviewing her and asking her about impeachment. She was like, we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. I mean, it was ridiculous. Come on. The whole blooming auditorium one. This is in 2018. I think. NESPA. Whatever. 18 or 19. This is before the pandemic. And she was, no, we don't want to really go down that road. And it's like, you could have impeached him for the emoluments clause. But the reason they impeached him on this stuff in Ukraine is because the candidate that they wanted to run to win was Joe Biden. And they could make some real political hay out of it. I'm telling you. That's my theory. And you might think that's a conspiracy theory, but it's really not. It's just intuition. It's just looking at the pieces on the chessboard and seeing what makes sense politically, not what is a fanciful thing. This is not a fanciful notion. I think that the reason why impeachment happened was not just public pressure, but it was because there was a political benefit to the Democrats, or at least the corporate Democrats saw that benefit. It would jumpstart and target the person that they wanted to run and they wanted in the White House. Look, if you don't think that Republicans and Democrats, particularly Republicans, or both parties, if you don't think they select people and then try to eliminate their this has been documented in Fahrenheit 11/9, the documentary by Michael Moore. If you don't think that they pick who they want and then stick 4 other people in the lineup, the proverbial lineup to run with them, you're wrong. Of course they do that. That's why they had 20 people in there, to obfuscate the field, right? So if you have 22 or 24, 28 Democratic candidates running in 2019 for the 2020 presidential nomination, you can hide in plain sight. You can hide a Joe Biden, who was not the strongest candidate. You can hide him, right? You can keep him, at a bare minimum, awake, alive, and cognizant, while you have all these people duking it out, Bernie, roaring away, barking away there, and you have these other people involved, but the guy they wanted was hidden. And that strategy worked. Then they all dropped out at the behest of the DNC and President Obama, making phone calls to Pete Buttigieg. Drop out, young man, drop out. And it was just Bernie and Biden. Hey, presto. Biden had awful debate performances. No one remembers that now. No one remembers it. And the fact is that Biden was always their pick. Always their pick. Just like Hillary was always their pick the previous time. And they just found ways of processes of eliminate. This is what happens. This is the dirty stuff. Let's be it. That's what happens. It does. You can't deny that. Come on. Am I right or am I not right? What do you think? Do you think that it's because there was a benefit to keeping the focus on Joe Biden for the Democrats? And why didn't the Democrats impeach Donald Trump on emoluments clause? Because that would have been stronger. Actually, that's a much more compelling case. And that might have got him, it wouldn't have got him convicted with the Republicans. But in a dominant Democratic Senate, that would have. And even though this was still a good case for the Democrats, why didn't they do emoluments? It was much more obvious to do that. But they didn't want to do that. Why? Why? Is it money? Is it they all drink from the same corporate trough? What do you think it is? I think it's time to get new leadership. That's what I think. Ponder the rest of this, if you will.
Together is on the line on June 5th. In this election, you can send a message.
The message is that the election is not on June 5th. It's on January 5th. Do you think he knew that? Do you think he just deliberately said June? Or is he really that foolish? Welcome back. So those are my concerns about the House. I think the House is in some trouble. The Democrats have to wake up here for 2022 because these Republicans are going to be full-bore criminal and they're going to try to steal an election again. The ground has been soil and fertile for it, and you're seeing it right in front of you, the coup attempts. The media won't talk about them, of course. They'll just say they're just jockeying for position and all this nonsense. But Speaker Pelosi and, my goodness gracious me, not good. That performance was not good on the Friday. But anyway, what we need to do is run for office. What we need to do is start educating people. What we need to do is start educating on the need to get involved, because we cannot afford to have this 4 years coming up be like the 8 years during Obama, when very few activist groups got out there. There was was it Operation Wall Street? What was that called? Occupy Wall Street. That movement came up, and one or two others, and there was Code Pink, and they're still around. And they would always complain about Obama when there was something he did wrong that they definitely pointed out. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But where were the rest of us? The vast majority of the rest of us were, only too happy to see Obama. And, it just is the truth, is that we went to sleep for 8 years. And then by the time we woke up, we were so apathetic about Hillary Clinton. Some of us did not like her. Some of us, I voted for her. I didn't like what she said about super predators. Yeah, it was 1994, but so what? It's part of the record. And her husband signed the welfare bill that killed black families, but that's not to be imputed to her. Even the people will do that. The bottom line is that the bottom line is that, I don't know. I just sit here and I do marvel. We do have a lot of work to do. We cannot be complacent, is the bottom line. And the time now is so urgent because of the pandemic, because of this economic depression, it's the Republican Great Depression Part 2. Because of all these variables, there's no time to waste, and there's a lot of work that's got to be done. We've got to help out, too. We've got to get involved in this. We've got to push Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but we've also got to support them when they've done things right. We have to. We have to. And I do think that, I hope that these picks, rest of these cabinet picks are really good. I believe they will, but represent the rest of America. I do hope that Deb Haaland, the one of two Native Americans in Congress, the first two, will get a position as the Interior Secretary, because I think that's very important. Deals with all the kinds of things that Native American peoples care about, that we all should care about. But I just think I want to see a browner and darker and blacker, cabinet, Joe Biden, president-elect. I want to see that. I really do. We need that. I want to see a black attorney general. I want to see you know what I mean? I just want to see I really want to see all of these things. You have 3 white men in some of the biggest positions, Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, and I think the other one was John Kerry, climate. It's anyway, you get it. You get it. We need to be more educated. We need to be better educated. The education system in this country, well, they've taken an axe to that, starting with Reagan, principally, maybe a bit before that. But the point is that has happened. And that's why you get all this craziness going on and this ignorance that moonlights as some kind of enlightenment. We have to get it together here. We do. We have to vote. We have to keep voting in these midterms and these off-year elections. We have to educate ourselves and be savvy about these things. These are very important variables. And we cannot let up, and we cannot be complacent, because that's when these folks on the other side of the aisle, the Republicans, are going to start getting real serious. And they're going to try to steal this thing again in 2 years, believe me, and in 4 years. And if the margins aren't as big, and you've got some persuadable people that they're trying to appeal to, forget it. You'll have any semblance of democracy ripped from you. I'm telling you. And this debate later on today between Warnock and Loeffler will be quite interesting. You have to watch it. CNN will be covering it, and locally in Georgia. This is a really big battle for this Senate seat. And I expect that you will see a lot of attack lines from Kelly Loeffler. I expect that. I expect Reverend Warnock to be much more gracious and classy. I just think that's the caliber of person he is. And I think there'll be one or two jabs, but yeah, I think overall, Raphael Warnock, the Reverend, is going to be much better, not just because he's a man of the cloth, if you will, man of the church, but also because his ideas are so much stronger. What does Kelly Loeffler stand for but corporate greed? I mean, Exhibit A, hello. I mean, her husband, he's the owner of the company that owns the stock market. I mean, come on. She's an insider trading. It's just, I think the contrast will be very clear in this debate later today. And I hope that you watch it. I may do some analysis online at the Popcorn REEL on Twitter. So please join me on that. I do expect to do something with that in real time on Twitter. So I hope you join me. I hope you do. But again, we have to start being affirmative. We can't be reactive. We've got to be proactive now. We've got to have an agenda. I've talked about agendas and the need to shape and craft an agenda for 2021 so that when these folks get in, they're on notice already. And quite frankly, you should be drawing that up now and sending it off to them by Twitter or whatever. We need an agenda. We need this because, otherwise, we've got to keep pushing these folks. We just have to. That's the remit. We cannot fall asleep like we did for 8 years. And you saw what happened at the end of that 8 years, didn't you? So that's my appeal to us. We've all got to be able to talk to each other, I think Zoom each other, talk about the issues that matter to each other, present them together, present a consensus around them, read them out, put them on a chart or whatever you got to do, and then move up the chain and try to get to some of the people who really do count, who can influence things and can get to Senator, former Senator Kamala Harris, now, the Vice President-elect, and former Senator and former Vice President Joe Biden, now President-elect. It's going to be indispensable. We're going to need to have that communication, and we're going to need to let them know that we are here. Because if you don't, why will they need to even look at you? They're going to do a damn sight better job than what we've got now. There's no dispute there. But what kind of job are we going to do relative to the Obama years? What is our performance going to be like over these next 4 at least? Don't forget to watch the debate tonight between Loeffler and Warnock, Warnock and Loeffler, live from Georgia. We'll be on CNN and other places. Thank you very much for listening to this edition of The Politicrat. I'm Omar Moore.